Heads up, there could be some massive changes coming to the way that the compensation and pension exams, yes, the biggest day in your entire VA claim, can fundamentally work. Check out this article. This is by military.com. This article is titled, "Reports of Mediocre Disability Claims by VA Contractors Prompts Senators' Demand for Answers." Mediocre, that's brutal. We know that the VA themselves does not do a lot of their own C&P exams anymore. Senator Elizabeth Warren has had her constituents complain to her that these C&P examiner contractors have done things like essentially ignore the veterans service treatment records, failing to review them prior to the appointments, or even shredding medical questionnaires instead of adding them to the medical files as evidence. But get this. They have indicated that the contractors directed veterans to meet them for exams outside of medical facilities, including co-working offices, broom closets, and hotel rooms. I'll tell you, if you end up in a broom closet for your C&P exam, your claim is not going well. So obviously this is pretty embarrassing for the VA and these contracting companies, especially since if you look it up, there really isn't much public information as far as how much these appointments are costing the American taxpayer. I personally have heard kind of from inside sources that it's $5,000 per exam. There's no way for me to verify that, so use your own judgment. But is the VA funneling too much budget through these exam companies for the quality to be this low? That's kind of a question for you, but I want you to know what to do in these instances. If you have had a bad compensation and pension exam, I'm talking objectively bad, where you were potentially rushed, they didn't want to hear what you were saying, they were rude or did things like not utilize the proper measuring instrumentation, within 48 hours of your C&P exam, you need to go ahead and call this number. That is the hotline in order to get this started. And do not wait. It's imperative that you call this number right when it happens. But even if it didn't happen very recently, call the number, write your senator, write your congressperson, because right now, again, it's right before election season, there's a lot of attention being shined upon this issue. Right now is the time. Even leave a comment down below. Have these things happen to you? The discussion is important because the iron's hot. This type of visibility is embarrassing for a lot of people, so we can have our voices heard to change this process. Speaking of changes, what does this look like? Well, the last time we sort of had a huge change like this was when the VA themselves, VA doctors, VA employees, were conducting the C&P exams themselves. There were whole separate issues with that, honestly pretty reminiscent, if not even worse, than some of the things that we were hearing with the contractors. Something tells me that a new paradigm shift could be right around the corner, but it might get worse before it gets better. With this type of scrutiny, could come more delays. So here's what you need to do in your C&P exam to make sure that you're not the one who gets bullied, or at least reduce your chances. You want to do things such as show up and you be respectful, but you know that the C&P examiner is not your friend. This is not a medical appointment. This is a legal process, a legal examination, and you're not there to get treated. Number 2, know your rights. Similar to interacting with a police officer or any government official, you want to know your rights. They're going to have you sign a waiver saying that they're using the proper measurement instruments, that they're using this proper documentation and things like that. So you need to make sure that they are documenting your measurements correctly, that they're using a goniometer. I wish I would have brought it with me today, but I'll put it on screen right now. This little measuring tool, the goniometer, to measure your range of motion in your physical examinations. But also, you want to get ahead of the curve. I would actually recommend bringing your relevant medical evidence with you to the C&P exams, knowing that sometimes the VA doesn't send it to the examiners. They're supposed to, yes, but you want to be able to help the VA and help the C&P examiner give you a favorable rating in real life. So make sure you account for the fact that the system can be broken, and you just want to reinforce that by bringing it yourself. You almost do their job for them. Finally, don't be bullied. If you are bending forward in your back exam and you're stopping when you feel pain, do not let them physically touch you. Don't let them physically assault you. If they do, you need to tell them to stop immediately, back away from them, and call this number that we had on the screen earlier. Here it is once again. I hope this has been helpful, especially with your biggest day of your entire VA claim, the C&P exam. If it has, share it with someone who needs it. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.